All of you probably know that freedom of expression is a very important issue for me, and whenever an incident occurs that is attempting, or already has, infringed on someone's freedom of expression, I do my best to jump on it immediately. I want to go over two incidents in which there was punishment brought down from the 100% pure and untainted Church of Social Justice. In one particular case, a man by the name of Nicholas Christakis, I apologize if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly, had an angry mob descend upon him on the campus at Yale. Now, I'm going to show you what happened and then respond afterward before we get into our second incident, which occurred at the University of Missouri. Just to give you some context, these witch hunters at Yale, inquisitors, safe space advocates, got extremely upset and emotional over an email sent by Erica Christakis, this man's wife and professor at Yale, and Nicholas's subsequent defense of said email. The link to her email is below, and I'll give you a basic synopsis. What she was saying throughout the email is, why can't we just allow people to have a bit of fun without being so concerned about offense? Some people find some things offensive, others find other things offensive. I can't defend my standards any better than you can defend yours because we're individual people. And even if we could all agree on what is objectively offensive, what's the harm in having a little bit of fun? That's not a direct quote from her, but a paraphrasing of what she said. If you'd like to read the entire thing, please click the link in the description below. Anyhow, both Nicholas and Erica work at Yale, and this is what occurred after the email was sent. Strap in.
The exception is because other people have rights too, not just you.
Walk away. Walk away. He doesn't deserve to be listened to. He doesn't deserve to be listened to.
An unsafe space here for
I
all.
deny-
Be quiet. For all Stillman students. You understand that? As your position as master, it is your job to create a place of comfort and home for the students that live in Stillman. You have not done that. By sending out that email, that goes against your position as master. Do you understand that? Then
No, I don't agree with that.
Then why the fuck did you accept the position?
Because
Who
I have
the
a
fuck hired you?
I have a different
You
vision
should
than you.
step down. If that is what you think about being a master, you should step down. It is not about creating an intellectual space. It is not. Do you understand that? It's about creating a home here. You are not doing that.
You're
You're
supposed to be
going
our
against
advocate.
that. You should be at the event last night when you hear a Franco say that she doesn't know how to create a safe space for her freshmen in Stillman. How do you explain that? These freshmen come here and they think this is what Yale is? Do you hear that? They're gonna leave. They're gonna transfer because you are a poor steward of the community. You should not sleep at night.
We're out. We out.
You are disgusting.
What adds to the irony here, not just being that a safe space is being made unsafe by those advocating it be safe, but the girl who is screaming, "Who the fuck hired you?" to this man was actually on the committee who hired him. Oh, irony. You're always there to make things a little easier to handle. Here's my problem with these protesters. I'm going to stop using this Orwellian term and just call them ideological Puritans, because that's what they are. We'll get into a lot more Orwellian activity later on in this video. They want to create a safe space, but a space that is safe for them and them alone. In order to have a safe space for everyone at the school, occasionally you have to make concessions. However, they are unwilling to make those concessions. They don't want an actual safe space for everyone. They want a specific area under their control. It doesn't matter whether hardly anyone else is offended by something, their safe space has been violated. It doesn't matter whether most people in the public area disagree with them, their safe space has been violated. It doesn't even matter if your actions cause people with other opinions to feel unsafe because, you guessed it, their safe space has been violated. Erica wrote the email because lots of people complained about the costume policy. They didn't feel at home. They felt controlled. They were being unfairly restricted by other people in what is supposed to be a space that is safe for them to be who they are, and express themselves however they would like during Halloween. They aren't advocating for a safe space. They don't seem to want that. As I've said, they seem to want a space they can control. They want a space where every single person in that space agrees with them on every single detail of every single issue. And if those dissenters can't do that, then they can at least hold that position in their own heads as long as they don't get in their way. But they will totally be a small-minded racist and sexist who supports systemic oppression, obviously. They want a tiny regime where everyone follows their ridiculous rules, which change constantly, or change to apply to everything except what they do. Either everyone, including the staff, adheres to this, or they need to get the fuck out of their safe space. This is indistinguishable from an ideological purity test. I highly doubt that they care about what costumes people are wearing to the point of breaking out into tears. They simply enjoy exercising what power they do have over people and deluding themselves into thinking it is positive change. It isn't. They aren't arguing with people who say that they can't hold the positions they do. They're arguing with people who are saying, you can hold the positions you do, and I can hold the positions I do. Live and let live. They can't live and let live. It seems impossible for them to do so. They want to live and force everyone to live like they do. If you find a ton of Halloween costumes offensive, declare fun your enemy, act overly hostile to anyone who disagrees with you, and advocate that people who disagree with you be removed from wherever you happen to be that day, then I have a very easy solution for you. Cry in your dorm until you're ready to join the adult world. And this isn't my forcing you to hold a different position. This is my telling you to stop attempting to politically and emotionally purge the highest institutions of learning that we have because you can't handle certain patterns of cloth in your immediate vicinity being worn by people with the wrong skin color because obviously they aren't worthy of said costumes. How about these rules? No one can dress up as a nun unless they are one. No one can dress up like a cowboy unless they actually herd cattle. And no one can dress up like a doctor unless they have a degree in medicine. You are not the student body. Your opinions are not objective fact. What you find offensive is not objectively offensive to everyone. And that is something you are just going to have to accept. The world is not your personal padded cell. Other people exist around you and think different things. Deal with it. Now, moving on to the University of Missouri incident, remember that place where a bunch of people put sticky notes on that Thomas Jefferson statue that said slave owner, rapist, and misogynist on them? Yeah, that one. Let's back up a bit and realize what's sparking this current wave of totalitarian action at this university. A student by the name of Jonathan Butler went on a hunger strike with his demand being Tim Wolf's removal from office. He claimed that he was willing to die unless the president, Tim Wolf, stepped down. This hunger strike was predicated on the idea that Wolf didn't do enough to address racial issues occurring on campus. Wolf responded to the student the day after and indicated a desire to meet with him to discuss addressing the systemic and pervasive issue of racism in society. But I suppose that wasn't good enough. Butler refused to speak to him on multiple occasions. Speaking of that, let's hear some of these activists talk to Wolf and you can tell me how reasonable they are.
Lots of conversations, including conversations with protesters where they came in and they asked questions and I expressed my position on those particular questions. I followed it up with a note to Jonathan. And then when I got Jonathan's note yesterday morning, I followed it up with another note that I want to talk. I want to understand this. I want to come up with a way that we can get progress made on these particular issues. We have got to maximize everything that we can do focusing on student success. And I can only do that through conversations by understanding the hurdles and obstacles that are in front of Jonathan or anybody else, which comes from dialogue, comes from conversation. I have asked each of my 4 chancellors and diversity leaders to describe what it is that they're doing to have this inclusive, safe, and secure environment where we have a culture of respect for everybody. Racism is unacceptable. It's absolutely unacceptable, and we have to eliminate it. And it's, by the way, it's not one and done. It's a continuous investment initiative that we have to be on for quite some time. So that's my focus, that's my commitment, and we are going to continue to focus on this. This is something else that we have to focus on relative to diversity and inclusion. We haven't done enough, and we're going to do more. My actions will support my words.
They haven't so far.
What actions?
You don't care.
Yeah, he doesn't care.
Yeah. You didn't show action when we were in front of your car. You were whispering to your wife, you were smiling, you were laughing. You had your hands in our lap. You looked us in the eye and then looked away. I have that personal memory in my head, and it's going to stay there for a long time.
And Lofton is not the problem. You are over an entire institution. It's not even just MU. MU is the largest institution, but you are over several institutions.
I'm not here I don't care what you're doing. I want you removed. That's why we're here, because we're standing in solidarity with Jonathan Butler. So I'm not here for a press conference. I don't want to talk to anybody. I want you resigned. I need for you to leave. That's not why we're here. We delivered the statement. I think that's all that we need to discuss. At this point, I don't care what you're doing, because you're not doing anything. You haven't made a statement about anything that happened with Concerned Student 1950 on 10/10/15. You have not made a statement about what happened just a couple days ago at Gateway Hall. So you don't care about racism. Racism doesn't matter to you. You don't understand systems of oppression. So we're not here to discuss anything. I think we've said what we need to say, so thank you. Have a good day.
I also have something to say as well. Tim Wolf, you said that you wanted to have
have dialogue and conversation. But when you met with concerned student 1950, you explicitly stated you had no intention on reaching out to us had Jonathan Butler not contacted you first.
Exactly.
So what do you mean you wanted to have conversation? You would not have had a conversation had it not been for the students contacting you. The students who your car hit, Tim Wolf, you were in the car that hit Jonathan Butler, and you didn't do anything. You didn't reach out. You didn't say anything. Now that stands on a hunger strike and you want to have conversation. But you looked us in our eye and told us you didn't want to have conversation with us. You want to talk to everybody else. I have a problem with that.
You have a PhD. You went to Harvard. Like, you have all this educational privilege. So I just really don't understand how you're not getting it. Like, how do you have so much education and you don't understand systems of
I
oppression?
want you to understand that that's not an excuse for lack of action. Not understanding systems of oppression is not an excuse for you not acting the way you should, because you should know that. As a man in your position over students who are marginalized, you should understand systems of oppression.
One incident cited by Butler was an incident in which a black student was called a nigger by a group of men in a pickup truck while he was walking down a street near campus. First off, how much more stereotypical can you get? A pickup truck? Anyway, if this were true, then these men don't even necessarily go to the school. They could just be a bunch of assholes who are driving down the road near the school. I don't know what the president is supposed to do in that case to solve that problem. The second allegedly occurred in the following month, where one intoxicated student disrupted a rehearsal of the Legion of Black Collegians and called them niggers. That student has since been moved off campus, but since the student wasn't burned at the stake in a ritual heathen immolating session, it clearly wasn't good enough. The third event that is cited is when Tim Wolf let his driver hit a demonstrator with his car. Let's watch a bit of the protest in question. Remember, this was all because one drunk asshole who went to the school said a racial slur, and some people from a pickup truck nearby the school allegedly said racial slurs, and the president didn't overstep his bounds and use powers he didn't have to enforce thought crime in the surrounding area. There are multiple people in tears over a word allegedly said by some random people in a pickup truck who may not even go to the school. They stopped the parade over this. One would think the videographer in this case would have captured the person supposedly hit with the vehicle. One would expect that paramedics would be on site if this happened and it would have been filmed. One would expect a lot of things not shown in this video if somebody was actually injured in this scenario, or if police were getting far too rough with the protesters. You know that everyone's phone would have been out if that happened. Unless the oppression truly runs that deep. Please. Want to know my prediction? One of the protesters jumped in front of the cars in the parade in an attempt to halt the parade and got slightly nudged by the car before the driver was able to hit the brakes. But, since it's a parade and cars aren't exactly flooring it down the street, they are most likely completely fine. I haven't seen any reports of injuries, and boy did I look. Or, it just didn't happen at all and they're lying their asses off. Oh look, I was right. They actually do have video of Jonathan Butler being a traumatized victim of vehicular assault. I just want to warn everyone watching, this is extremely graphic, so if you have young children, if you are or know someone prone to fainting at the sight of gushing blood, or if you're pregnant, please tell them to avert their eyes or avert your eyes now. I hope YouTube will let me show this.
The reason why the Gays Odom Black Culture Center exists, I say, power! 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 Stay strong, y'all! Stay strong!
In the early hours of the morning, 2 students, some 6-year-old,
Yes, let's watch this a few more times for effect. I mean, I hope Butler's okay. This was less Butler being hit by the car and more him running right into it. Anything to stir up some more victim cred. Quite telling, isn't it? I should probably mention at this point that someone smeared feces on the wall in a bathroom in the shape of a swastika on October 24th. No one knows who did it, besides the person who did it, so there isn't much anyone can do about it besides wash the damn wall. A custodian came forward and said that there was indeed a literal shitpost of a swastika on the wall, and the vandalism report was released by the school. If you're a little confused about the timeline, this protest happened approximately 1 month ago, before the swastika, before the previous discussion we saw with Wolf, but after the alleged racial slur incidents. Their shirts also say, 1839 was built on my black. That's clever, except that it wasn't. These protesters are pretending that the oppression of people in the past means that they are oppressed now, or deserve some empathy for going through what slaves had gone through. They didn't. They aren't going through anything like what slaves went through, or what people in the civil rights movement went through. Some asshole shouted nigger at them while intoxicated. Someone call the systemic oppression police. Black people cannot telepathically absorb the experiences of other live or dead black people. Neither can any other race. And as we can see from this video, they brought their homecoming parade to a halt over a word. Apparently, sticks and stones will break your bones, but words will never hurt you is a phrase disappearing in our lexicon. It is also the apparent current tradition that people who say mean words should be beaten around the head, neck, and crotch area with dictionaries, just so they don't do it again. These events, of course, were enough for a student group which calls themselves Concerned Students 1950. 1950 is referring to the first year where the university allowed black students to attend. Concerned Student 1950 claims to speak for every single black student that has attended that campus since 1950. It claims that its concerns are their concerns. Their reason for this claim? Well, because black, of course. What else were you thinking? When will you learn that all black people have the same opinions, goals, drives, and desires? That's how you fight against racism. Duh. Now let's get into their list of demands, after the letter they've written. And remember what the actual infractions were, and what the letter says, and what their demands actually are. I'll be paraphrasing to keep this short and sweet, but the entire letter and demand list is below. 1. They demanded a handwritten apology from Tim Wolf for his inaction. They demanded he admit his white male privilege, admit that systems of oppression exist, and to his gross negligence. 2. They demanded he be removed from office and a new policy be written in when selecting a new president via collective of students and faculty with diverse backgrounds. 3. They demanded the demands of the Legion of Black Collegians from 1969 be met. 4. They demanded the university enforce a mandatory racial awareness and inclusion curriculum throughout all campus departments and units. This curriculum must be overseen by students and faculty of color. 5. They demanded an enforced race quota in staff where black people must be 10% of the faculty. 6. They demanded more funding in staff for mental health programs, particularly hiring new staff of color for these positions. 7. They demanded increased funding for social justice centers on campus and hiring new people of color to work there to boost awareness and visibility. I know what you're thinking. This is straight out of a totalitarian novel. Well, in some senses, it is. What stuck out to me was not the mandatory racist hiring practices or the obvious grubby request for more money to push their ideology. It wasn't even the demand to get Tim Wolf removed from his position. But it was the very first demand they made of Tim Wolf, to write them an apology for not responding to things he had no power to respond to, admit that he's a privileged white male and that systems of oppression exist. They couldn't just be satisfied with a resignation. They couldn't just be satisfied with him being fired. They needed him to get on stage and agree with them before he was kicked out. This is totalitarianism defined. You can't simply disagree and be cast out. You must agree and still face punishments for your non-existent transgressions. You won't be allowed any dignity whatsoever. You will not be allowed any free thought whatsoever. You have to demonstrate loyalty to the party before you're executed, because there can't be any martyrs. And to anyone who says that's too extreme a comparison, it isn't. Look at what happens next.
Giving me strength. I hope it provides you with some strength as well as we think about what's next. I have to also give credit to my daughter for reminding me of the scripture. Psalm 46:1. God is our refuge and strength and ever-present help in trouble. We need to use my resignation. Please use this resignation to heal, not to hate. And let's move forward together for a brighter tomorrow. God bless all of you, and I thank you for this wonderful opportunity to have led the University of Missouri system. Thank you.
If any of you are disappointed in Tim Wolf for doing this, it really isn't his fault. He is a public figure, and if Jonathan Butler died as a result of his hunger strike, although I highly doubt he would have taken it that seriously, they'd accuse him of allowing an innocent black man to kill himself for the selfish reason of keeping his job. What a horrible person, right? They used a hunger strike as a bully tactic. How much lower can you get? This man did nothing wrong. Do they have no conscience? But some drunk student called them a mean name, and so somebody had to be publicly sacrificed. Getting Tim Wolf fired is not going to prevent drunk people from using racial slurs. It's not going to prevent anyone from drawing another swastika with their own shit in the bathroom. It was an example of a ritual sacrifice. I mean, someone had to pay for those injustices, right? Might as well be him. They invent oppression and discrimination, claim anyone who voices disbelief or doesn't actively voice their support of them are the problem, and then threaten to kill themselves if people don't admit they are right and quit their job. I have some very unfortunate news for the ideological Puritans here. Some people refuse to be silenced, no matter how many fake tears fall from your faux compassionate eyes. You may believe you are exercising compassion. Those may be actual tears falling from your eyes. And if that is the case, you really should tell all of your friends what qualifies as a disproportionate response. Yes, such a thing exists, believe it or not. The correct response to both the drunk student incident and the swastika incident and the alleged pickup truck incident would be to roll your eyes and say, wow, what a dick, clean the wall or remove the drunk student from the meeting and get on with your lives. But no, the proper response is to starve yourself, shut down a parade, and demand an innocent man be removed from office because he didn't fly off the handle and overhaul the entire school's policy over a couple of douchebag students. But any diversion from that belief in that disproportionate response is a sexist, racist, intolerant, or backwards belief, right? And actively harms you and all people of color, I'm sure. Anyone not within the perfection of the in-group should be cast out. And they also believe that everyone should be treated equally, just some people treated more equally than others, for the sake of equality, of course. And those who don't adhere to that are totally against equality. Some people won't be pushed around in this way like Tim Wolf was. Some of us would let you starve yourself, especially if you refuse any compromise on multiple occasions. Let's take a quick look at what happened when the media tried to cover the protests, you know, the perfect opportunity for this group to get their message out and raise more awareness. Let's watch.
No, I didn't. He said San Diego. San Diego? There you go. Yeah. What's your name? Okay. Well, it's going to push it.
Come on, man.
Nobody's touching you out here.
Are we not pushing? I know, but they'll change the story on you. They'll change the story. Hey, I'm moving. I'm walking forward. You're pushing me. You're pushing me.
We're walking forward. We're walking.
You're not doing your job. You're not doing your job.
It's our right to walk forward, isn't it? I believe it's my right to walk forward.
Hi, media. Can I talk to you?
No, you need to get out.
Well,
you need to get out.
No, I don't.
You need to get out.
I actually don't.
All right. Hey, who wants to help me get this reporter out of here? I need some muscle over here. Help me get him out. Who's going to help me?
Are you documenting? What are you
I'm
doing?
documenting.
Okay, well,
You need to get out. You need to get out.
This is public property.
And
It's
I
owned
know
by the
that's a really
university.
good one. I'm a communication faculty, and I really get that argument. But you need to go. You need to go. You need to go.
So please respect these people's wishes. I think it's very simple.
I didn't see you respecting that reporter.
Well, they very politely asked you to leave, and I'm happy to walk out with you. I know. And they very politely asked you just go.
You can go.
Come on, man. You're looking really bad.
Can you leave?
Coffee.
You can
Coffee.
go. You can go. You can go.
You need to go now.
You need to respect us, man.
We're asking to go, please. We are asking you.
You're in here.
I know his name.
You have to go.
In here.
I know people's names.
This dude right here is trying to record.
I'm
You
allowed
have
to
to
do
go.
that.
Where's the police? The police get
The police cannot do anything about that.
Well, you have to go.
Everybody else is talking to me.
Anyone else gotta go.
You're not getting anything out of being here, bro. Like, you're really not getting anything out of being here. Come on now. Go out with everyone else. Everyone else is there with you.
He wants to go out pretty bad. And don't let him back in.
And of course, after this little incident, the police were notified and released an email which stated, "To continue to ensure that the University of Missouri campus remains safe, the MU Police Department is asking individuals who witness incidents of hateful and/or hurtful speech or actions to call the police immediately. While cases of hateful and hurtful speeches are not crimes, if the individual or individuals identified are students, MU's Office of Student Conduct can take disciplinary action." Yep. Did you get your feelings hurt? Call the fucking cops! The students at the school who supported the actions taken then flipped into full victimhood mode after their totalitarian measures started to take root by attempting to garner sympathy for alleged threats they were receiving. Student body president Peyton Head even posted on Facebook that the KKK had been confirmed to have been sighted on campus, but when investigated by the police, was reported to be false. There were even reports of threats on Yik Yak, which is a social media app that allows you to share posts with other people within a 5-mile radius of your current location. The person arrested and transferred to the campus police department for making the alleged threats was a man by the name of Hunter Park, who was 90 miles away and doesn't go to that school. He is alleged to have written, "I'm going to stand my ground tomorrow and shoot every black person I see." Hunter is now being charged with sending a terrorist threat. The person telling the photojournalist in the previous video I just showed you to get out was a woman by the name of Melissa Click, who is a professor at the school. She has her PhD in communications, ironically enough. This was an attempt by her to call over a couple of goons to muscle out a photojournalist by the name of Mark Schierbecker. I apologize if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly. Who entered the inner sanctum. The no media safe space. Sorry, Melissa, but technology has changed the world of ideas. You can't simply scribble out the rules on the barn wall and convince everyone that they said something else the entire time anymore. People have video cameras, computers, and screenshot functions. People know what the wall originally said, and people know that what's going on now is not the type of equality they signed up for. You attempted to grab at Mark's camera, and when that little stunt didn't work, you tried to get a couple of henchmen to come get the job done for you. You mocked this journalist for simply wanting to report on the event. You know, that thing you're trying to get more awareness for? And by all means, have your own little private safe spaces, but you cannot decree public property a safe space and then demand people be removed from it. You are a fully fledged Stalinist, or fascist, whichever you prefer. You can't escape the record button, Melissa. Your actions are all over the internet now. Despite your piss-poor excuse for a safe space, freedom of the press comes out on top again. In order for people to see your true colors, all they have to do is point a camera at you and press record. The rest is done for us. People will see your actions. They will make the comparisons among history for me, and they will see the totalitarian nature that you so kindly displayed. I have a suspicion that you're one of the people, if not the person, who assisted in organizing that entire thing. Either every single one of these 18 to 21-year-olds care a whole lot about no media safe spaces, or someone is giving them credit. Could be either one, but the way you acted makes you seem like kind of a ringleader in this whole ordeal. People who act the way you do are who I live to oppose. You have apologized for your actions, and that's great and all, even if you were sincere, which I doubt you were. I think you're only saying this because it got published. It's a very strange turn of events that neither you or anyone else in that fucking organization thought that Tim Wolf deserved the same courtesy. And Tim Wolf didn't even have anything to apologize for. Why was he pressured to resign in the first place? Well, because he was a privileged white male who didn't do enough to assist with obvious oppression, of course, even though the student who went on a hunger strike's father made over $6 million last year. Irrelevant, though, because he's totally an oppressed minority. Jonathan Butler's father is the executive vice president of marketing and sales at Union Pacific. My family has never seen that type of money before, but sure, I'm feeling that white privilege. Hunger strikes don't seem so bad when you know there's a popcorn tub full of the finest caviar at the end of it. You aren't oppressed, you pompous douche. Don't insult people who were actually dealing with oppression by claiming that you are. Don't bring up 1839 or 1950 because you aren't going through anything like what those people went through. Most problems that people face in the world today stem from money. You have had plenty of it on hand, but yeah, that white supremacist society is keeping you down, isn't it? Butler, you disgust me. Not you, Eric, I'm speaking to Jonathan here. You can't even be neutral in these cases. If you're neutral, you are part of the problem. You must voice support for them or else you are the enemy. You can't just submit before Big Brother. You have to love him too. All because of a word a drunk student used, a swastika drawn on a bathroom wall, and an alleged pickup truck incident. This is madness. This is the game plan of the perpetually offended. They are constantly waiting for something to offend them. Then once they're successfully offended, whether it be a different opinion, a drunk student saying a racial slur, or something that they've just fabricated completely because they couldn't wait any longer, they are out for blood. Once again, the only injustice perpetrated here that can be proven is the injustice brought on by these faux activists. Butler goes on a hunger strike to force an innocent man to quit his job. Journalists are threatened with muscle by Melissa Click, a staff member, for intruding in their safe space, and physically intimidated until he left. Another man intimidated and berated by an angry mob for not repeating the party line and walling off the safe space well enough. These are injustices, real, actual injustices. They severely need to learn the difference between encountering an asshole in life and injustice or oppression levied upon them. Their goals and their actions do not line up with one another. In fact, they hardly ever line up with one another, which makes me suspect that they are after something other than what they purport to. If there is one video that I hope goes down in history regarding their little fight against oppression and raising awareness campaign, it's this one. And while you watch this, think about which one of these people has the power and which one is having injustice enacted upon them. Allow me to press my red circle. Click.
Help me get this reporter out of here. I need some muscle over here. Help me get him out. Who's gonna help me?
Are you documenting? What are you
I'm
doing?
documenting.
Okay, well,
You need to get out. You need to get out.
This is public property.
And
It's
I
owned
know
by the
that's a really
university.
good one. I'm a communication faculty and I really get that argument. But you need to go. You need to go. You need to